Okay, good morning, everyone. Glad everyone could make it out on this beautiful, cold day. I tell you what, I'm tired of being cold. I tell you that. Is everyone able to connect to the Wi-Fi and to the website? I know I asked that a couple times.
No, she's telling me that it can't find that. It's case sensitive.
Yeah, make sure you have the capital letters. Okay, we'll get some. Yeah, I sent the link out in the couple emails that I sent last week. Well, my name is Travis True. I'm the one who's been emailing you this last few weeks. I'm the Curriculum Technology Coordinator in Topeka for Topeka Public Schools and a Google for Education Certified Trainer. This is our second year of doing this boot camp. We had about the same number of people last year, and it was really successful. I've got some help today. I have Lori Hauer, the Tech Integration Specialist from Ottawa, Kansas, and Teresa Lecoq, Tech Integration Specialist for Kaw Valley, which is St. Mary's in Rossville, so just down the road. So we're gonna be switching off and leading things and be around to help. So if you got any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Just some housekeeping things. Restrooms, if you haven't found restrooms, they're just on the other side of this wall. So if you go out the doors, they're just on the other side of the fireplace here. We'll have lunch in this room. Okay. Those of you that signed up early, you picked out your sandwich or your salad. My friends from campus, you're going to have a pick of sandwiches from a platter. Okay, but you'll get some sort of food. We should have some water and some pop-up here later this morning for you. Okay, this is really informal. You know, stop us and ask questions. Tell us to repeat things if you don't understand it. We're here for you. This is your time to learn this. Kind of the way the day is set up, the schedule is on the website here. Okay. In this first session, which will go till about 9:30, we're going to go through the Chrome browser and Drive and Docs. We plan to give you quite a bit of what we call sandbox time. That's time that we give you information, then you have that time to process, reflect on what you learned, get your hands dirty in the tool. Okay, that's a good time to ask questions, work with your partners, that sort of thing. We'll take a break, do another session, have lunch, and you can kind of see what those topics are for those sessions. Toward the end of the day, we'll just see how the day goes. Last year, you could kind of tell by 3 o'clock we were just ready to be done and go home. So we'll be done no later than 4, kind of shooting for that 3:45, 3:30, 3:45, get you out of here maybe a little early, so you can get on your way home if you're going home tonight, okay? All right, so what I want to do is on the website, also at the top, the trainers page has more information about the three of us, and our contact information is below our bios there for each of us. So you can follow each of us on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are on there if you do Twitter, and our emails also. And then the bootcamp resources. This is one we will kind of use quite a bit today. How many of you are going to take the level 1 exam sometime after today? Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about the exam and kind of what all that entails. I know from last year's feedback, most people just came for the information and didn't really care about the exam. However, I will give you some information on that right now. So on the bootcamp resources, if you look at the second link, the Eric Kurtz Eric Kurtz is a certified innovator in Ohio, and he runs this blog called Control Alt Achieve. And if you go on the resources page, he has an entire section dedicated to the Google for Education certified exams. And so there are two exams. There's a level 1 and a level 2. And I'm just going to go through these real quick and just kind of highlight some things. So online for the level 1, there is an online training space where you can work through different examples and different modules and questions. And that's really good to work through if you're going to plan on taking the exam. That's really good to work through and become familiar with those things that they ask and kind of how they ask those questions. They do give you sample questions. You have 180 minutes. There's no pauses in that time. The level 1 exam is $10. If you decide to take the level 2 exam, it's $25. So it's $35 for both if you decide to do that. And then the certification is good for 3 years. So when it comes back around this next fall, I'm going to have to retake mine if I want to recertify because it'll have expired in November. Yes.
Do you find more benefits having that certification or having to take that exam?
So her question was, did I feel any benefits of it? What I really encourage, especially our staff in Topeka, I encourage them to go through the training modules because those skills that are listed, and a lot of them are what we'll touch on today, are really a lot of basic stuff that you should know how to do in Google. And so, yeah, I think working through those and taking the exam. And we've had a lot of teachers just take the level 1 exam and we're really happy with what they learned and those skills that they learned. I don't know how up to date this is because I know Lori can speak to this. She just renewed her level 1 certificate. And you didn't have any questions on your exam, right?
It was all scenarios.
Okay. So it used to be that there were 25 questions, and then they put you in a simulated Google Drive environment where they would you basically had to follow the instructions, make a document, share it with this person, those sort of thing. But Lori, maybe a month ago, just took it, and they didn't have any questions. So if you take it, you may just be put into a simulated drive environment and you just have to follow the instructions. The big thing.
And do you say that? I wonder if that's because it's a research.
And it may be because it's a recertification. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to find that out. But on this, there are some sample questions, and then I will show you the list of topics too. And that's kind of what today is based on, is that list of topics. You must have a webcam if you decide to take this, because what they do is inside the test, you have to have a computer with a webcam, so it could be a Chromebook, a Mac, a PC, or a desktop with a webcam. But they randomly take pictures of you, and if that picture happens to be empty at any time, like your face is not in it, they boot your test out. Okay, so I've heard where somebody dropped a pin on the floor and bent down to pick it up, and just at that time the system took their picture, because it's just kind of random times that they take it. You can't get up and pause and use the restroom, so just be aware of that. Now you can sit across from somebody and take it at the same time if you want and help each other out. That's what my coworker and I did, is we sat across from each other, and there was a couple things that we had to look up, and so we kind of helped each other through it. And if you're able to either have dual monitors or 2 different laptops, you can do that too. Have one laptop where you're testing and one laptop if you need to look something up, you can do that. So it's kind of an open internet test, if you will. And so I kind of just went through this. 2 monitors or 2 computers is kind of the what they suggest. It's open note or open internet. Just don't call anybody or phone a friend, and don't leave that webcam area. If you don't pass it, you can retake it in 2 weeks. And if you don't pass it again, passing is 80%. Yeah, passing is 80%. If you don't pass it a second time, you got to wait 60 days. And if you don't pass it the third time, you have to wait an entire year to take it. And you have to pay for it each time you take it. And then that's pretty much it. On Eric's website, this document right here, this is a document that I have open quite a bit. Eric went through all the online training as part of the teacher training area, and basically identified these skills with these tools. And that's kind of where this boot camp is kind of organized around, are these skills. And you'll see it's a lot of pretty basic stuff that you should know. The survey that you filled out prior to coming had all of these skills, and I asked you basically, do you know how to do them or not? And it's kind of interesting looking at the results and seeing, you may kind of think you know a lot about Google if you've been using it a while, but then when you get into seeing what kind of skills you need to know how to do for the test, it's kind of surprising what they ask of you. And the thing is, on the exam, you won't see 2/3 of these skills asked for on the exam, but you don't know what's going to be asked. So that's why basically they just say, if you know all of this fairly well, then you'll be good. Okay, so this is kind of what our day is going to revolve around. We're not going to get through all of it, so don't worry, because normally when I run a boot camp, it's 2 days to get through everything. So we're not going to get through everything today. Okay. Any questions on the exam? The last thing about the exam is there is a section when you sign up. There is a section on the exam that asks for if you've been part of a training like this, and it asks for the trainer ID number of any trainer that's helped you. Our trainer ID numbers are underneath each of our biographies. So if you do take the exam, we would appreciate it if you put in our trainer ID numbers. That helps us in Google keep track of kind of what's going on. And but underneath each of our IDs is a trainer number if you need that. And if you can't find it again, you can just email any of us and we'll be happy to give it to you. Okay. We're going to start off with Chrome. How many of you have Chromebooks right now? A few of you? Okay. So most of this, what I'm going to tell you, this first part, what I'm going to tell you, if you got a Chromebook, you can kind of ignore because it's done automatically when you sign into the Chromebook. If you got a Mac or a PC, one of the biggest thing that you want to do is make sure, if you click on the 3 dots up there in the top right corner and go down to settings, you want to make sure that you are signed in here at the top. Okay, if it says sign in, go ahead and click on that and sign in with your whatever Google account you're using, if it's your district account or your personal account today, whichever one you want to use today, go ahead and sign in. You put your entire email in and then you put your password in. When you sign into a Chromebook, this is automatically done for you, so you don't have to, you can't do it again if you're on a Chromebook. Just be on a PC or a Mac. The benefits of signing into Chrome is that all the data that's attached to your account, bookmarks, extensions, apps, web history, will follow you from device to device if you log into Chrome. So there's 25 buildings in Topeka, and I'm kind of responsible for about 12 of them, working with teachers in 12 of them. I don't have to take my laptop with me to buildings, because when I get to a room that I'm doing training in, if I sign into Chrome, all my information follows me. And so if you don't sign into Chrome, like today, if you're going to bookmark pages and install extensions that we'll talk about later today, and if you're not signed into Chrome and you get back to your school or back home tonight, or go back to your school and get on a different computer maybe at school, then you don't have access to that if you're not signed into Chrome. So you sign into Chrome, you put in your email, your password, and you want to make sure you click the link data button. And then you will, any bookmarks you make, web history. So like right now,
Yeah, this word is link data. Yeah, I always can't find it either.
it should pop up after.
Is it the sync? I turned on the sync.
Yeah,
Okay.
they may have, yeah.
So it's just sync your.
It's just sync, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, click, if you have the option to click sync, go ahead and click sync. In that settings, if you click on sync, there's the data that's syncing. Apps, bookmarks, extensions, history, themes if you have them. Passwords. So if you save passwords, sorry, I lost
It's
my.
all right. It's following me, make it stop.
I'm moving too fast. You can turn off and on what data you want it to sync. So if you don't want it to sync passwords, you can turn that off.
How would that work? Like passwords, give me an example of.
So we use PowerSchool.
Okay, so it'd be that.
So we use PowerSchool. When you sign in with your username and password, it will ask you, do you want to save it? And if you click yes, that's the data that syncs. And you go to a different computer and sign into Chrome. If you go to PowerSchool, your username and password will be in there.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to feel.
So you can turn off and turn on what you want to sync. Is there anybody else having problems getting signed in to Chrome? Like I said, on a Chromebook, it happens automatically when you sign into the Chromebook. You're already signed into Chrome. And so anything you do on there, bookmarks, extensions, apps, web history, that sort of thing. What's really cool is if you use different devices, so if you have a laptop and a Chromebook, or you use your machine at home versus your machine at school, when you go to history, it will show you the names of the different devices and your web history. So this has saved me a few times where I saw an article, I read an article at home about something that I wanted to share with some principals at the principal meeting the next day that I was attending, but I forgot to bookmark it. So I go into my history and I find the device that I was on, my home laptop, and then I'm able to pull that web page off. So that's the kind of data that is syncing, and it's all part of your account. Yeah. And then If you ever want to sign out, you go back into the settings and you just turn it off. And you tell it to clear and continue, and then it will clear everything out of the browser for you. Basically, it removes that account from the browser. So if you're on a public computer, maybe in the library or somebody else's room, you can still sign into Chrome, get your stuff. When you're done, make sure you sign out, and then that way nobody can get to your stuff. Okay. Questions about that? How many of you have this bookmark bar, this bar right below the search box popping up, or it's enabled, you can see it? Okay. If you don't have that, you can click on the three dots over there on the corner and go to bookmarks and click on show bookmark bar. This may be a setting, we turn this on at the district level, so all of our students and teachers, it's automatically on for them. If show bookmark is grayed out like that, that is a setting that your Google admin has set and you can't turn it on. So if you can turn it on, go ahead and turn it on, because what I want to do is show you how to bookmark the website. So bookmarking the website or any website is pretty easy. You go to the website, and to the left of the web address looks like a padlock. If you click and hold and drag down to the bookmark bar, you'll get a black line, and you can just drop it down there and it's bookmarked. And since you're signed into Chrome, that bookmark will sync over to your other device.
So you don't have to go to the store.
You don't have to go to the star. Once it's on the bookmark bar, you can click and drag and move it around. I've got some folders on the bookmark bar. So if you right click somewhere on the bookmark bar and choose add folder, you can actually create folders and organize your bookmarks with folders and subfolders if you want. So I have a folder called work stuff and I just drop things I need quick access to in there. The other thing you can do is if you right click on your bookmark, right click, you have the option to delete the bookmark from your bookmark bar.
You should right click it?
Yep.
Now, hold on, I just made one and now it's gone. I did one and it was called school stuff.
Oh, a folder?
Yeah. So I did add a folder.
Come over.
Oh, wait.
I gotta get over here.
Sorry.
Come over, yeah. It'll be down at the bottom of that list.
Oh, okay.
And you can just drag it up.
Oh, there it is. So you can drag it up.
You make a what? No. No.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so if you right click on the bookmark, you have the option to delete it. You also have the option to edit it. And when you go to edit, you can change the name. So if you want to rename that, it pulls the name from whatever the web developer gave it. But if you want to rename it, you can. The other thing is if you delete the name, but leave the web address in there, it just leaves the icon of the website. So you can see on mine, I have Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Destiny, Clever. I know what those icons mean, so I don't have to have the name of the bookmark next to it.
So you right click on it and then you delete it?
You right click and go to edit, delete the name only, and click save, and all you're left with is the icon. So it allows you to put more bookmarks on your bookmark bar.
So it only happens if you click on that bookmark.
If you got to right click on the bookmark itself, not on the space.
But it still works if you click on it.
Yeah, and it still works. So if I go,
So really, the bookmark space is only to put like a new one in there. Or not
Yeah.
really.
well, yeah.
Yeah, I switched to
Okay, the last thing I want to show you with the Chrome browser, and then I'll give you a little bit of time to kind of digest what we've gone through. How many of you has this happened to? I've got these two tabs open, and all of a sudden, this one I accidentally closed, and I need it back. Okay, does that happen to everybody? I accidentally close it. Oh man, I need that back. If you open up a new tab by clicking on the plus button, and at the tab at the top, if you right click, you have the option to reopen closed tabs. And what it does, so I just close that Control-Alt-Achieve blog, but if you continue to go, it will reopen. It basically reopens all tabs working backwards. So anything that I've had open today so far, it continues to reopen and reopen those closed tabs. So it remembers what you had open, and if you reopen it, it reopens from the latest one that you closed back to the older ones.
So, what was the edit for?
To edit the name of the bookmark or remove the name.
So, I thought you said if you right click and hit delete, it will take the name off.
It should take the name off.
No, you have to.
So that's an edit thing.
And then, yeah, and then hit save, now it just has that. So I don't.
Okay, one final thing with Chrome. How many of you use or have used the incognito window? And what do you use it for? Those of you that had your hands up. Doesn't show your browser history. Oh, what's that? You did it by accident? Yes.
You can be in two places at the same time, and the incognito is private, so we're not big deal.
Yeah. So on the three dots, incognito, your Google admin may have this shut off for you. So if you're not able to open it, that's a setting that your Google admin sets. We have it turned on for our staff, but we do not turn it on for students. But our staff has access. What incognito window does is basically it gives you a Chrome window that has no accounts attached to it. So what I do a lot of times is use incognito, and I'll go to Google and I'll sign into my personal Gmail account. Because if I sign into my personal Gmail account on my regular Chrome, I can get some cross-contamination of some files and kind of screw some things up with syncing in that way.
So the incognito window, you would use if you were opening your personal on your school.
Yeah.
That way it doesn't mix.
Or you can have a student sign into their account.
That's what I was gonna ask.
On the incognito, so then.
Yeah. The other thing I use it for is if I'm sharing documents or sharing that website, which I will open an incognito window and paste the link in there and make sure that it's available to anyone that is not logged in. So if I'm sharing a website that's going out to the public, I don't want them to have to log in or be blocked or have to ask for permission. I'll open up an incognito window and paste the link to that document in there or to that website. And because it doesn't have any accounts attached to it or anything, if it works, then anybody can access it. If it asks me to sign in, generally my sharing permissions are off. So you can use it that way also. So if you're sharing something with parents and you want to make sure that it's going to work for them on their end, then you can just open up an incognito window and test it.
My students use my computer sometimes to like open up their Google so we can edit a paper. So if I use that incognito window, then it won't mix with mine.
Yeah, they can sign in. And they can sign in, and and when you sign in, you just go to google.com and hit the sign in button. You don't go through the sign into Chrome like you normally would. And then once you close the window, the account's logged out and you can't get back.
So if I hit, what did you say that was at?
It's under the three dots, incognito window.
And it gives you a Chrome window that's not
Yep.
attached to.
And it tells you it doesn't save your browsing history here. It doesn't save any cookies from any websites. And it doesn't save any information that's in forms. So if you do type a password in, it's not going to ask you if you want to save it. You're not getting around your school's filter by using incognito. You're still going to be filtered through your district's internet filter. You're not completely private, is what I'm trying to say. It's just not saving data that normally would go into your account.
So can a tech admin go back and look through
No, because it doesn't save that data, but it's still going to block it. Yeah. Because some people think that if I'm in here, then it's private and it'll be blocked from the filter, which is not true. Okay.
So what did you say about a website then? Can send or test it? Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Send or test?
Yeah. Paste in a link to a document to make sure that your sharing permissions are set.
Make sure it shares.
All right, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to kind of play around, play with your bookmarks, try out incognito with different accounts if you want, and just kind of play around with those, kind of get you into that sandbox time. Lori and Teresa and I can come around and help you out with anything, and then we're going to transition into Drive and Docs after our sandbox time.
Okay, if you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. Okay, so now we're going to do Drive and Docs. And Lori and I were kind of talking at the beginning of this, and just like what Travis went through, we'll go through each thing and try to be kind of brief. I mean, we want to give you the information, but then we want you to have time at the end of each section to work, kind of like what you've been doing, and ask questions. So all of us in the room are kind of at different knowledge levels, and so that'll help with that too, so that if I'm going over something that you think is simple and that you already have a good understanding of, I'm not dwelling on it for a long time. But you might kind of jot down, or if you have something like a note app open on your Chromebook or PC, you could type questions you think of as we go too, so when you have that work time. Yep. Okay. So
that reminded me, I forgot to, sorry.
That's okay.
I forgot to share.
While he's doing that, you can get to Drive. So you can go to drive.google.com. If you know how to get to apps from your device, if you open a new tab, there are usually some that pop up, and Drive is one of them. It's the triangle that's multicolored. You can also, up there next to your picture, you have some squares. We call them Hollywood squares just so we can remember. You know, it's kind of like a catchy name to remember. You can click on those squares and apps will pop open and you can get to Drive from there too.
Okay, real quick, I forgot. On the Bootcamp website, the very first resource, it'll make you make a copy of it so that it saves into your drive. This is a document I created. It's kind of a checklist, but because she said something about keeping notes.
Oh, you have notes right there.
There is a section on the spreadsheet where you can type notes in. And each of the links.
That was from the main website, right?
Yeah. The very first.
When you go to make copy, it's a spreadsheet. It looks like that.
Go. All of these are linked
There it is.
to a video tutorial that you can watch later. And you can also keep notes over here on the right side. That would maybe.
Yeah, that's awesome. I thought maybe they already had it. You know what I mean?
I forgot to.
Okay. No, I love that. I actually have that up so that I can make sure that I cover each of those things with you. Okay. So give me a thumbs up if you are here, if you are in your drive, not my drive, I guess. Okay, and they'll come around and try to help you if you're not there yet. So, once you get to Drive, on the left-hand sidebar, you have New and a plus, and you have My Drive. You may or you may not have Team Drives. See how mine has Team Drives? And we'll go over that, like why it's there for me and maybe not for you. And then you have some other things like Shared With Me, Recent, Starred, Trash, and Storage. While some people are still getting there, I like to point out that if your district is G Suite for Education, which I think they all are, right, Travis, if they're here, you have unlimited storage in your Google Drive. So we really encourage our teachers, if they're taking pictures of their class, pictures of a field trip, if they have large folders with tons of documents in there and it's bogging down the storage on their PC, because we still do have Windows machines in our district for our teachers, we encourage them to upload that to Google Drive. You can leave it in whatever format it's in. Like you could upload a Microsoft Publisher document into Drive to store it and then pull it back down to any machine that has Publisher and open it in Publisher. So think of it as, yes, it can store Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, all Google Drawing, all the Google apps, but it can also be storage for other things. So we're going to start out by just talking about My Drive is just what it says. It's your drive, okay? It's things go in there that you create, they automatically go in there, okay? If someone shares something with you, it does not automatically go in there unless you put it in there, okay? So on my sidebar, I'm going to open up the drop down to the left. Oops, I have to be patient. I'm not good at being patient when things are slow. So there's all my folders. So you can see they pop up in the sidebar right there, just like they are in the middle. If mine looks different than yours, up in the upper right hand corner right here, I'm trying to circle it with the cursor, you have a grid and you can change your view. So yours might look like this. I like to keep mine in that list view, but it's just like personal preference, what you want, how you want it to look. You can, from that middle, while we're waiting for it, if you have files that are not in a folder, you can take them, or I guess you take a whole folder, and you can click on it.
So it's not letting me pick how I want it to look. It just goes between two things.
Is it, did you click on it?
Yeah.
Right
This?
there. Oh, but scroll down. Okay, so she makes a good point. At the very top, do a lot of you have like some things that look like they're like, so those are called suggestions. I'll show you how to turn that off if you don't like that. I have mine off because I don't like that. But below that, it should be either a list view or a grid view. So kind of look below that. Okay, so I'm going to change mine back to a list. You are able to, how I have my sidebar open on the left-hand side, you are able to click and drag and drop into folders, like from that middle if you're trying to organize. But there's also other ways to organize. So if you highlight something, it can be a document, it can be, man. All right, Travis, I don't like your trackpad. Is it a 2-finger to get it to highlight? You come do it. See what I mean? It should just, highlight the. There we go. Okay. So it just wasn't loading. So you can highlight it, see how I clicked on it to select it. And then to get a menu, you can either right click on that selection and you can see all the different things you can do with that folder, or if it's just a file, you can also click on it, highlight it, and go to the 3-dot menu, and that's the same menu. So you can either right click right on it or select it and go to that 3-dot menu, but those are the same menus. What it gives you the option to is open with. So if it's a file not recognizable, like it's not a Google, maybe a Google Doc, it's a Word doc, it's going to say, what do you want to open this with? Because this isn't going to run Word, right? If you're in Chrome, if you're on Chromebook. You can move it. One thing that I tell people is Google really makes it so you don't have an excuse to be unorganized. It's really nice. I am not the most organized person in the world, but they make it so simple to organize things on the fly, and I'll show you that in a minute, that really, like, if you just organize as you go, all of your documents will be nice and organized in a folder, put right where you can find them. So this is move to, if I wanted to move that folder inside of another folder, I could move it. You can add it to starred. What that does is if you star a folder or a file, then over on this left-hand side you have starred, and it will only show you your starred files. So I don't use that super often, but if you have something you know you're going to want to get back to over and over again, a certain file or certain folders, you might think about starring it. Okay, so we'll go back to that menu. Okay, you can rename it from there, and that is how the easiest way to rename it, I think, is from right there. Right click, go to rename, or go to the 3 dots and rename it. You can change the color, and for some people, color coding is the way that they stay organized. I only have a couple things that I have a color because I want to find them quick. But some people really have all their work stuff green or something like that. So you can change the color. You can search within a folder if you're on a folder. You can also download it from here too. The view details opens up that right-hand side, and it tells you the history of what's happened to either that file or that folder, like who has put something in the folder, if you have made a modification, the last time something was edited in there. The other place you can turn that on and off is up in the very right-hand corner, that little eye with a circle. That opens and closes that. Okay, so that's my drive. Those are the different tools, and I'll actually show you how to make a folder and move something here in just a minute. I want to finish going over your left-hand menu over there. So I don't know that you guys have as many folders as I did, but that drop down is closed up now. Below it, I have team drives. Does anybody have team drives? Okay, so a few people do. So in our district, it could be different for you guys. Our Google admin has it so that only our technology staff, like our IT staff, can make team drives for people. They could have it turned on so you could create them. Basically, we create them for things like a PLC group. Maybe it's like our ELA high school PLC. and then we add all of our ELA teachers to that team drive. And what happens is anything they put in there belongs to the domain or belongs to our district. So that if a teacher leaves and their email account is deactivated, because they're no longer there, the stuff in that team drive stays as is. So if you haven't heard about Team Drive, that's kind of a really nice thing, because before they had those, we did have teachers leave, and it was a mess trying to make sure that we got all of the files we needed from them if they were like the chair of something. So that's what Team Drives are. We also use it for things like our KISA documentation.
Does
Yep.
it work like Google Teams?
So,
Microsoft Teams.
oh, okay. I don't know. Do you know, Travis? No, it's not the same. I'm not familiar with Microsoft Teams. So like you can see there are the team drives we have, or that I'm on, I guess.
So you say the admin has to put that on for us.
If you don't have it there, or you may have it, but you are not able to add or create, then you just have to ask. So your domain might have it turned off too. So those are team drives and what they are.
So one other thing about team drives versus my drive is the files in team drives can only be shared with other people in the domain or your district. So if you've got a file in the team drive that you want to share outside of the district, it's not going to happen, because it's only limited to people.
We were able to add people from the outside to the team drive, but not to the file itself.
And you can add regular Google accounts to team drives.
They have to be
They
G
have to be
Suite.
Domain G Suite.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind as you're, anything in my drive you can share publicly, but anything in team drives can't be shared publicly with regular Gmail accounts, or you have to add in outside folks.
Yeah.
Can you copy it into your drive and then share it?
If you have the access to do that.
Yeah, it gives you, when you add someone to that drive, you can make them like a manager, which allows them to do things like that. Or you can give them access to only be able to maybe view or edit documents, but not copy, like what you're saying. So, okay. Then you have shared with me, and that's exactly what it says it is. It's things shared with you. Mine gets pretty messy because we have 4 buildings in our district, and I'm on all 4 buildings' email groups. So like when they send their daily announcements out to the email groups for teachers and students, I get that every day. So you may have a lot of things in there that you're like, oh, I didn't know I had all that stuff in there. I encourage you, as somebody shares something with you, if it's something you need and you want to refer back to later, add it to your drive. There's a search box at the top, you can search for things in Shared With Me, but it's just easier if somebody shares something with you, when you open it, to just add it. So I'll show you an example. Pull up our daily announcements. Okay. So here's daily announcements from 1/8. So let's say that I wanted this announcement. Maybe I have a folder and I'm keeping all of the announcements for my building. So every time I get them, right here, you have a plus where it says add to my drive. You just click on it. It gives you the ability right there. Remember how I said to be organized? Right there, it shows you, okay, organize. I want to organize it. Right now it's just in my drive. I could put it in any of these folders, or I don't have a folder called daily announcements, so I could just click new folder, title it daily announcements.
What if you don't have a little folder?
Did you click add to my drive first?
Where do right here.
And then it'll turn into a folder. And then, okay, now I'm in daily announcements, Rossville Junior Senior High School. Then I can click move here. It's moved there. It tells me it moved it. If it already has a picture of a folder, if you're in my drive and you open it and it's already organized, you can click on it so that you can see where it is. So that's kind of nice too. If you can't remember where you put something, you found it, you want to see if it's in the right place, you can click that folder.
Okay, I got
this with the shared with me?
I was in shared with me, any document, yep. Or spreadsheet, or,
And it's like you're asking the drive. Do that, and then you'll have the folder to do that.
okay, so that's shared with me. And then below that you have recent, and that's just what it says it is. Anything that you recently had open will show up there. That's kind of a handy way to get back to something that you know you had open at like 8 o'clock this morning, and then you closed it, you can't find it, because maybe you didn't add it to your drive. So you can see that first one is the daily announcements I just had open. So Start we already talked about. You do have a trash can. If you accidentally throw something away, it stays in there for 30 days. So you can search through your trash if you think you accidentally threw something away. One thing, if someone else created it, like it's in your shared with me, and you click on it and you throw it away, it doesn't throw it away for everyone, just for you. Okay, like you cannot, like if Lori made something, you could not permanently delete her file for everyone because she's the owner and you don't have rights to do that. You're just like basically getting rid of it so it's not clogging up your shared with me. I never mess with my shared with me. We have unlimited storage. I just don't mess with it. I leave everything in there. Do you too, Lori?
I just leave it.
Yeah. So I always figured they shared it with me maybe for a reason. Maybe I'm going to need to get to it at some point in time. And then at the very bottom you have storage, and it just shows how much you have used. So at the top, I went back to my drive. So I clicked on my drive.
I had to get out the document.
Yep. And then at the very top, we're going to come up here. Right here, you do have help. You can click on it. It pops up like a little search box where you can search for help. You have settings right here. I'm going to click settings. And right here, you just have some different settings. At the bottom, I want to show you, so it's the suggestions right here. That's what I have turned off. You know how at the beginning when we were looking at my drive, you had those like thumbnails of documents at the top of your drive? If you don't like those being up there, you can uncheck that box and they will disappear, and it'll just show your list or your grid view without that stuff above it. I have it set to create a Google Photos folder, which Lori I think is going to talk about that toward the end of the day. And then you just have some different things. On my device, I have it to sync to my device, so I can edit offline. You can change your language.
Where do you send it to delete ones? I'm sorry.
The delete.
Or to get rid of something?
Okay, suggestions.
Oh,
It's done. I started at the bottom and went up since that was at the bottom. And you can uncheck that if you don't want those suggestions. So the second one from the top, and this is something that they used to always ask you on the test. Lori, was it on the test this time, the converting your uploads? No, it wasn't. Okay. So Lori said it wasn't on there this time, but so I'll just cover it really briefly. If you have that check mark, convert uploads, uploaded files to Google Docs editor format, what's going to happen is then when you upload like a Word document, it will automatically convert to Google Docs. I have it unchecked because there are times that I want to leave something in like Word or Excel format, but you could come back in here and check that if you're going to be uploading a bunch of things that you want to convert. I typically leave it unchecked, and I'll show you what I do. I convert it from the document itself.
Hey, Teresa.
Yep.
Just a comment on the offline syncing. Those of you, your students that have Chromebooks, make sure that they have that turned on their Chromebook, because what they're able to do then is, if they don't have access to Wi-Fi at home, if they do the offline syncing, they're still able to get into their drive, create the Google Docs and slideshows and spreadsheets, and as soon as they connect to the Wi-Fi, it syncs in. So even though they don't connect it to any kind of Wi-Fi, they can still create. You can get into their drive, they can still create those documents or edit those documents. And as soon as place where they
What are
connect
you
to
doing?
Wi-Fi. Like I went to San Antonio a couple weeks ago for the TCA conference, and on the flight down, I had my Chromebook and I was doing work. It was offline, and as soon as I hit the Wi-Fi at the hotel, then I was synced back up. So, especially on the Chromebook, if you sync it offline, your students who don't have access at home or away from school, that may ride the bus for a long period of time, they can still do some work.
Yeah.
There a way to do that in admin settings? To do that for everyone?
No.
I think so.
Manual choice.
Yeah. So on the left, you do have notifications that you can turn on or off. If you want, get updates about Google Drive items in your browser, like it'll pop up, or get updates via email. You can check mark those or leave them unchecked. I like getting the updates. Sometimes they tell you some cool things they did that you can't, otherwise find. And then you have manage apps. If you have logged into something like Adobe Spark or an extension and it has asked for permission to use your Google Drive to go with whatever the app is, it'll show up there and you can take it off there too. But if you wonder like what you have synced up with your drive, you can look there.
So the kids will have this drive also,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep. All of your students, if they have a G Suite for Education account, they also have Google Drive and all the Google apps. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So if we were able to get that team drive on there, then we could share stuff with certain students and have like a group for that.
You could, like if you wanted to, Travis is going to do Classroom later,
Okay.
and really Google Classroom does a lot of that for you.
Okay.
So that's for students, for the workflow of like turning stuff in. Classroom is what you're going to want to use for that.
Right, but this is
So.
just like a club or.
Yeah, you could still, I would still make a classroom. I would make a classroom called like FFA or FBLA or FACTS or Drama Club. I would still use classroom. It's still easier.
Now, why did you say don't click for uploaded files to Google Documents?
I said you could.
Oh, okay.
You could if you were going to be uploading, but you don't have to.
Otherwise, you could do open document.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to spend maybe like 3 more minutes showing you some things, and then this is on a task card. So Lori made task cards, and it's just like you can go through each thing, and it gives you tasks to do and see if you know how to do them. So you're going to go new, and the first thing is folder, and I'm just going to call it MACE. And you can do this if you want, or you can just watch. So I called it MACE Bootcamp, and it's right there. It'll automatically jump to it. And then I'm going to open that folder by double-clicking on it. Then if I'm in that folder and I make a document, it automatically goes into that folder. Remember how I said you can be organized? It's super easy. Make a folder, open the folder, or open a folder you already have made, and then you can go new. And I'm going to say Google Doc, but I could pick sheets or slides or drawing. It's going to open in there. I'm going to title it. That's not me, I promise. I don't think it's me anyway. Okay. And I'm going to title it MACE Bootcamp. So that's making a folder. We're going to come back to this document in a minute, but now you know how to make a folder. Now you know how to put something in a folder. Okay.
Do that one more time.
So I went new.
I got to the basic again.
New folder.
Yes.
Named my folder.
Yes.
Opened my folder. Went new Google Doc. And it put that Google Doc in my folder. And it opened like this, and then I named it. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So then from here, I could, if I had something on my desktop or laptop that I wanted to upload, I could go new, and I could go file upload. That's the second one. And I could upload that file into that folder. Like if it's a Word document, if it's a picture, if it's something I want to put in there. That's file upload. Then you have folder upload. So when we first went to G Suite, we had teachers who are like, I have this folder within a folder within a folder within a folder, and it has like unit 1 and 2 and, you know, all of that. You can go new folder upload from either inside a folder that's called like, you know, English or whatever, or from just your drive, and it'll maintain the hierarchy of your folder. So if you have a folder within a folder within a folder, it's going to maintain that when you upload it. If you have a bunch in there, it may take a while to upload, but just so you know, it will do that. Below that, we just did new Google Doc, same thing. You could do a new sheet, a new slide, and then forms and so on. And I have some other things connected, so my list is pretty long, so you might only have a few there, like down to maybe sites. So I'm going to go back to my drive now, and then I'm going to find okay. So this is, you may or may not have seen me do that, but I have a Word document in there. So if you uploaded a Word document and you tried to open it, it would do this. See how it's not in Google Docs? It's kind of showing me like this is what your Word document looks like. At the top, you get this little menu. Right here, it says open with. I can say open with Google Docs, and if I do it from there, it's going to convert it. So that's another way you can convert. Like if you get it open, uploaded and open, and you're like, oh, I want to see what this looks like in Docs, you can do that. It does not always, we'll see what it does. It does not always keep the correct format on like tables and certain kinds of formatting. If it's just a text file, it does a great job. So sometimes if you have, see how like it took my line, oh no, it went. So.
If you have PDF documents, you can convert them to Google Docs, but not all you will get is text and maybe some pictures, but the formatting
Will be messed up, yeah. So anyway, that's Drive. Travis, do you want me to go ahead and do Docs real quick? I'm not going to spend much time because it's word processing.
5 minutes.
Okay, so I'm back in that Google Doc that I made called MACE Bootcamp. If you didn't make one, that's fine. If you want to go new Google Doc and make one just so you can have that up, that's fine too. If you're familiar with Microsoft Word or any kind of word processing, even like something like Open Office, then give me a thumbs up. Isn't everybody pretty familiar? Okay, at some point in your life you had to use that, right? So at the top, the toolbar is very, very similar. One thing in Docs is as you're typing, it's auto-saving. So as you're typing, as you're adding pictures, as you're doing different things, at the top it'll just say all changes saved in Drive. If you do get kicked offline, leave it open. Wait till you reconnect, because like Travis said, as soon as you reconnect, everything syncs. So just don't close it. You know, if you get kicked offline, don't close your doc or you're going to lose that. It'll give you a message and say, are you sure you want to close? It's not saved. So up here in the upper left-hand corner, you have undo and redo. Those are honestly like my favorite things. You know, oops, I just deleted the whole paragraph. Undo, right? You have print. You have a spell check right here. You have, like, if you want to paint down, like copy down your formatting, you have that. Zoom. I'm just going across the top. Normal text. You have your font size, bold, italic, underline. Text color, highlighter color, this is all familiar, right? It's all word processing. It's like you're formatting. So if you have like certain indentation or something like that, and you want to copy that down through your whole thing, that's what it is. So, or like bold if you're, yeah, it's like that. Okay, then we are over here to insert link. Now, we start to have some differences between maybe Word and Google Docs right here. So insert a link, add a comment. I could put like, get some pop, Travis, right? And I could add a comment, and I could say at, and this is our directory for our district that's popping up, or anybody I have in my address book. So I have Travis. So I'm going to assign that to Travis. And so he would get an email. It's telling me it's not shared with him. You might want to do that if you're going to tell him to do something in your document. So, okay, I'm going to share it with him. And I'm going to tell him he can edit it. I could just say he could comment it. He's outside of my domain, so it tells me that too. So then he gets an email saying, Teresa Laycock just assigned this to you. So we use that a lot for meetings, and that's comments. You can also just make a comment without doing that. Like if it's a student's paper, you could highlight right here and add a comment and say, I'm popping up dictionaries. I don't know, you could have different word choice here maybe. And then when the student, like if it's their document, opens it up, they could over on the sidebar see comments that you made. The words are also highlighted. Some of our teachers use this for peer editing. Like they share with their peer and the peer goes through and highlights words and adds comments. Or you can highlight whole sentences and say like, maybe this would be better at the end of your paragraph, not this, beginning. So those are comments. Right here you have image. That's just what it says it is. It's insert an image. If you click on it, you get a menu. You can upload, you can search the web right there, which is really nice. You can get it from Drive, Google Photos, by a link, or if you have a webcam, you can take a picture right there. These are just alignment, line spacing, numbered list, bulleted list, your indentations, clear formatting, and then an input tool like an online keyboard. Right here in this very corner is another difference in Docs, between Docs and like Word. I'm in editing mode right now. I made the document. That's how it just opens for you. If you want to change the mode you're in to like viewing, because you don't want to accidentally delete something, I guess, you could change it to viewing. You could also add it to suggesting. A lot of times people will share things that way when they just want people to make suggestions for them, kind of like comments that we just looked at. Right here in the very right hand corner, you have a hide. Sometimes people accidentally click on that and then they kind of are like, what just happened? My screen looks different. I'm missing that whole top. Just click the arrow and it'll come back. So, trying to think. This opens your comment history. Right here, you could see the history for your file. If you click on that, it gives you just an activity dashboard. And then you have share. Travis talked about sharing, but did you show it? You didn't show it. So that share button is something you will have in a Google Doc, or Google Sheet, any of those Google apps, you'll have that share button. And when you click share, when you first type in the person, notice that the default is that pencil, which means edit. So if you don't want them to edit it, make sure you change it. So right here you can say can edit, can comment, which we just looked at comments. That's all they would be able to do is highlight things and make comments. Or can view. A lot of times we use the can view. If all you want them to do is read it, then you just have to let them view it. You can type a message explaining what it is, why you're sharing it with them. Right here you have notify people. I think you're going to want to notify them. They're not just going to magically know you shared it with them, right? So, unless it's for a meeting later and you're going to bring it up at the meeting. And then you just send it. They get an email that says, so-and-so has shared a document with you, and they can click right there and open it from the email. Okay, last thing. Up in the upper right, you have get shareable link. And if you click on that, I keep opening your dictionary, Travis. There we go. Okay, so it opens up like this, and you get that little bar across the top, and it says link sharing off. So only certain people can access, or yours might say on since you just clicked on it. But if you click here, you get like a menu. So anyone, my district is Call Valley, can edit, can comment, can view. So sometimes you just, if you give them the link, you want them to be able to maybe edit it with the link or view it with the link. But if you go to more, this would be for like if you're presenting somewhere, you might want to turn that on public or on anyone that I give the link to can open and read it. Because if you keep it just in your district, you try to, like I tried to share it with you, you couldn't see it. So you could say like on anyone with the link. So I'm going to do that. And then right here, okay. The default here is can view, which is good, right? You don't want to share it with like the whole world and give them all editing. But if you want them to do something besides can view, you can change it there. And then click save. Yeah, I must be. Okay. And I'll go ahead and share it with Scott too, and he'll be like, what is this? Okay. Yeah. Notice your, like my share button. Everybody look at my share button. Really quick, just look at it. See how now it has a link below the little person? It's going to show you. It's a padlock if it's not shared with anybody. If it's shared with somebody, it has like a little person. And if it's link sharing, it has a link. So it kind of indicates how you have it shared by just looking at the button. Travis asked me to show you revision history. So I'm telling you, Travis, this thing is, okay. So you go to File, and it's Vision History, and it'll show you everything that's been done. Oh, see Version History. That's been done on the document. Here are some examples. We had, not kidding, an administrator on accident delete an entire page of something that was for like the admin team, the whole page. Like he just deleted it, and then he was like, oh, I deleted the whole thing. And he didn't click undo. He just didn't know he did it. It stayed that way. You can go into your version history and you can restore it to a certain point in time so you can get it back. I only have on this document, that's when it was blank, right? And then I have this one. But you could restore it back to a certain point in time. This is also good for students if you're grading and you think that maybe they plagiarized, like they copied and pasted, because you'll see, like at 10:41, it highlights everything. So at 10:41, they did all of this all at once. It took them 1 minute. Okay, they copied and pasted, right? Teachers have really had conversations with kids when they have wondered and then looked at this and then they show the students and the students are like, oh yeah, I did that. So can you think of anything else? Yeah.
We use a lot of work. So if you have multiple students in the same file and they're doing a group presentation, we've had students come and say that so-and-so deleted all my work.
Yeah.
We'll go back through and see what happened. Or we can say so-and-so didn't contribute to this project, and we have documentation of who did what.
Yeah, it shows you who made what.
It stays with the document for life of the document. You can't go in there and edit it. You can't delete it unless you delete the entire document.
Yeah. Yep. Is anybody in here teach ELA? So in something nice that they've added here, I don't know how long ago. How long ago did they add the Explorer, Travis? You know?
It's been a year.
So maybe a year ago. So if you haven't seen it, right down here you have this little diamond-shaped comment button. You click that and it opens Explorer. If I'm doing a research paper or I'm looking for an image of Abe Lincoln, you can search right there. And then it gives you a menu under that first one right here. I can choose if I want it in MLA, APA, or Chicago for my citation. So I'm going to leave it in MLA. And then let's say right here, it'll show you quotes. I want that quote cited as a footnote. Did it go down? There, and it's down there, and it's cited in MLA format. So you can also do images. So it's on Abe Lincoln. I'm just going to click images. If this is the image I want, I can add it right there, and then I can resize it by clicking on it. It tells you where it's cited from. See right here, and in Explorer, those images are all copyright free. So you know, like if you have your students go in there, that they're searching like a common open source type of file. So anyway.
So when you added the picture, I did the citations for you?
Like see how when I just hover over it, it shows me the link. This is the quote that I cited with a footnote. So I was under web, and then you scroll down and hover to the right, and it shows you little quotation marks, see? And you click those, and it'll go over. Like there's another one. So, okay. So I really like, there's only 4 minutes, but
Oh, I see. Okay, it takes 2 minutes.
yeah, I think it's slow.
Lori and I have we made some task cards for you. So as you flip through these, you'll see the tool at the top. And then it's got some tasks that you can work through as part of your sandbox time if you want. These are also, the slides show that these are on the resource page on the website. So you have a physical copy and a digital copy. So we have sandbox time now, and we're going to turn that into sandbox time and break. And so let's come back at 5 till 10. Okay?
Thank you.
Restroom.